The Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
Hey everyone, it's Antenna, and you are watching the DL Show only on Dave's Guitar Channel.
I am so happy to be here tonight. We're going to show you some magic, so I'd like you all to let go of all your preconceptions of what you think is impossible. Because tonight, absolutely nothing is impossible.
All right, welcome everybody. Wait a second. Now we're all in different spots. Boom, there we go. All right, everybody, we are back. It is another Monday night and another night for the DL Show. Hey now, welcome Charlie S. Welcome DD Files. Welcome everybody here. Actually, I don't know if Florida knows this yet. Florida, you know Joe's not going to make it tonight. Florida does not like it when Joe's not here. She's just not happy. Anyways,
what about Roger?
Gentlemen, how are you guys doing?
Good.
So far, so good.
Matt.
Yes.
Diet. How you guys still doing? You still doing carnivore?
I am.
Good. Yeah. How's it going? You're looking very lean.
Oh yeah. Actually, I was a little bit heavier this morning. I was like 178, but that was because I probably ate more yesterday than usual. But
you weigh more than me now.
Oh,
today. Anyways, 177.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Tomorrow I'll probably be back down to 175.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been
I'm
going
just
well,
dropping
man.
the pounds. It's just getting leaner.
Now I kind of wonder sometimes if because I did a workout yesterday. So you got to wonder, it's like, okay, well, you lose so much body fat, but then what if you start gaining, some muscle mass? So you're going to still look lean, but you're going to
Right.
weigh a little more, So
Yeah.
I don't know if I, put on a little just from working out,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because I don't know if I posted it in the group the other day. It was this interview with Dr. Chafee and this guy, and they were talking about when you do carnivore and your body produces glucagon, I think it's called, but it's just about building muscle, and it was really interesting. It's an hour and like 15 minutes. It's definitely worth the watch. I found it really, really cool.
I did revisit the carnivore cheesecake though, and
you did?
I used like between a quarter and a half of the stevia.
Best, right?
Oh, and it was great. Yeah, and you know what
Yeah.
the secret is? The secret is to let it sit overnight in the fridge. It tastes, for some reason.
Oh, absolutely.
The next day, it was so much cheesecakier than it was the day you make it.
Yeah, I never eat it the day of because I'm always eating it when the next pie. Like I just made a cheesecake today, and I won't get into that till Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but if it sits in the fridge for at least a whole day, it tastes much better.
Yeah, and I think it's fictitious. If I'm familiar with the show, I'm pretty sure. Janice, welcome. Hugh Caldwell, welcome. Tahoe, welcome. Joe D'Angelo, welcome. If I missed somebody, welcome. I don't think I did. Anyways, yeah. So it's going really good for me. I'm digging it. I'm down to 177. My body fat on my scale has dropped, which is really cool. And then when I've noticed it in the gym, when I'm doing like arms, if I have my arm in this position, like all of a sudden, this is just it is just shredded. It's like, and I've never seen it like that before. And I, lived in a gym for a while. So it's been good. I'm digging the diet. I don't know if anybody else is in the chat right now who's doing it, Brian or any of the other guys who are doing the carnivore, but I'd like to hear from you in the chat. Let me know what your results are, where you're down. Krell, what's going on with you diet-wise?
Oh, well, I basically hardly do any processed carbs anymore. I mean, that pasta's like once a month. And I never really ate that much, but I make a conscious effort not to do the processed stuff. And now I'm not on carnivore yet, though I'm eating like a carnivore some days. I mean, I just made this big ass roast beef yesterday and it makes great leftovers. I had this big omelet tonight. Cheese.
I went to Costco yesterday. Yeah, I went to Costco yesterday and I bought baby back. I don't know. Are they baby back ribs or short back? I forget which ones they are.
Short ribs?
But I thought, no, they're baby backs. But I thought I thought it was 2 whole racks. Today, when I opened the package, I realized there's 3 whole racks. So I inhaled a rack tonight for dinner. I'm like, ooh, just salt and pepper. And it was 3.5 hours in the oven. And it was great. It was fantastic.
I'm surprised you don't have the rib remnants around your face. Like
Janice, that is the absolute worst thing to do is to eat carbs with protein. Because that's what the 2 doctors are having a conversation about is how much more insulin gets secreted from your liver when you eat your carbs with your protein. You're better off always eating your protein with fats only, and then eat your carbs. Wait an hour if you want to eat carbs, then eat carbs, but don't eat them together. That is the recipe to store fat.
I always broke my fast with protein and no carbs. And
you guys go into this other guy's a doctor with a PhD, and he goes into the whole why you shouldn't eat protein with carbs. You should just eat protein with fat. As he said, it was the way God intended. No, but he does go into it, and it's really interesting that you should eat your carbs. If you're going to eat carbs, which we don't, but if you're going to eat them by themselves or just with fat, but not with protein. Anyways, moving on. Has anyone seen? Yes, Janice, I don't eat the bun. That's why I lost all the weight. Yeah, but we don't eat processed foods, and bread is processed. So I stay away from any type of carbohydrate. I haven't had carbohydrates, just to be clear, so everyone understands. I haven't had carbohydrates in 136 days. And before that, for 3 months, I was eating only half a cup of oatmeal per day was my carbs. So I weaned myself off carbs. That's how I did it. But yeah, we don't eat carbs, and definitely not processed.
Definitely not.
Yeah. All right. So anyone have any other questions on diet before we continue? I'm going to move on to another topic of some guitar pedal related material. If anyone's, unless somebody has a question about the, Hugh says he's still losing weight.
Anyone do the corned beef this weekend?
I know on my ribs, Martin, all I had was, and by the way, thank you, Martin, for last week. And my ribs, all I had was salt and pepper. That's it. Salt and pepper when I seasoned it, and that was it. And then I ate it. Sorry.
Oh, no, wasn't there a carb-free barbecue sauce you guys talked about?
Yeah, that Nathan was eating, but I'm not interested in it. I don't need to, I don't miss it enough that I need to find a substitute for it. So for me, it's salt and pepper was more than enough for me. It was good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like them by themselves too, but boy,
it filled me up. I was stuffed. After those ribs, I was so stuffed that I had a buffalo mozzarella with salt, and then I had a giant, enormous piece of cheesecake. All right, gentlemen, I don't know if you guys are familiar who Josh Scott is.
No.
Excellent, Delroy. Yeah, process is the problem. Yeah, Jan doing the corned beef and Jameson. So the JHS did a video on Bad Monkey, the Bad Monkey pedal. You guys familiar with this? And people are like flipping out because they're like, oh my God, this pedal was so great. And now I'm sure the price is going up on it, which is a fucking joke. Anytime someone's selling a pedal for like a crazy price, it's a waste of time. I think like what Josh Scott goes to show is all these circuits, all these pedals that he's showing have similar circuits. And you can make anything with a similar circuit sound the same. Yeah, Hugh says he sold one for $20. Yeah, it's a good price. I would have bought one for 20, and I'd also sell one for 20 because I could care less about the pedal. But the thing is, you could find any pedal. Like, I have so many pedals, and you know, it's funny. I buy someone says, "Oh, this pedal's this," and then I go in when I play my rig. I'm always playing the Boiling Point. It's just the one I go to because I like the way I have it set. I'm sure I can make any pedal sound like the Boiling Point that has that circuit, the AC booster probably. And exactly, Hannahbaum, he is. And I just think there's so much stuff about gear. Jim Lill put out a video today, folks. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jim Lill. You know I love him. If you do know who he is. He did a video where he's talking about getting the tone that all the pros have. And basically it comes down to, he's like, you know, these guys are recording close miking it, and you're hearing it through a 57 basically, or another microphone. And, you know, he's like, people always say, what's the sound in your room? And then he also shows that the amplifier playing loud doesn't add tone back to the guitar. And he shows that in a really clever demonstration, which I thought was great. But it's people are like, with this pseudoscience horse shit, and I've said it from the beginning, your guitar is strings and a fucking pickup, and it goes to an output jack and goes into your amplifier. And if you guys are thinking that the wood or anything has anything to do with it, you fucking are drinking the Kool-Aid from people who are trying to sell you a fucking expensive guitar because they spend $20 more on the piece of wood for the wood blank. This one has striped mahogany. Oh.
Listen to
Instead
those
of the blank costing me $40 for the blank, the place charged me $45. But I'm going to make sure I charge you an extra $1,500. It's sad. It's sad. But yeah, so check out that Jim Lill video. But as far as what Josh Scott was saying, folks, if you found a pedal, I mean, come on, you guys, what were some pedals that people used to have during the day? The old, look, the DOD preamp 250. I remember people used to tell me that was the biggest piece of shit. I had one. I didn't even know why I had one. And then someone said, that's the Yngwie pedal. Oh, really? What does he do? And then they told me how he used it. And I used it. And I was like, oh, it is pretty cool. But until, every pedal you can find an application. And
I won one of those in a raffle one time at a music store.
You did?
Yeah. And I found out, oh, really? Okay, cool. Yeah. So, but I remember when I think we brought this up a couple of weeks ago. Everybody was ape shit over the Proco Rat at one time.
Right. And and to me, that's not a sound I enjoy.
I didn't either. I never bought one.
Yeah.
Well, if you like the pinch harmonics and stuff back in the day and you wanted to sound like Gorham DeMartini or something like that, you can get that sound.
But the trick with that was it's the Rat into that Marshall. It's not just the Rat. And at that point, you know what sounds good in front of a Marshall? Almost anything.
Yeah.
Right? Tube Screamer sounds good. Klon sounds good. I remember the Boss ST1 sounds fantastic.
The Big Muff Pie was a big one when I was a kid too. And we got to get the Electro Harmonics Big Muff Pie.
Yeah.
You don't remember that?
Well, I do remember the Pie. I have a 73 Ram's Head clone. And I'm like, people are like, oh, what's the difference? What's the difference? You think I fucking know? I only got it because Gilmore says he used it. I have no idea what the difference is, nor do I care. Janice, and it's funny, Janice says her Roland Microcube does it all. Well, a lot of these guys in the 80s in Nashville were all going direct. And I was watching an interview with Steve Wariner, and the guy was like, oh, I loved your tone on this song. And Steve was like, yeah, I'm direct on that one. He's like, really? It's like, yeah. So you never can tell what tone works, and everyone's chasing tone. And like I say, and I'll say it because I've said it 100 times from the day I started my channel, just get better at guitar. Focus on your playing, focus on writing songs and playing songs, and stop wondering stop wondering how you can sit there and sound like your hero, because it's really in your hands. When I was a kid playing guitar, and I say kid, I'm talking 16, I remember everyone had Marshall stacks, and I wouldn't go buy an amp because at that time I was like saving up for a Kramer. I wanted a Kramer Pacer, and I wanted the deluxe, and I was playing a PV Bandit 65, but I fucking made it work. I had to play the fucking hell out of it, and it probably made me a better player because the thing fought me the whole way. But people listening aren't sitting there going, is that guy fighting his amp? No, they're like, sounds like that sounds like Simple Man from this band of 16-year-old idiots.
Mm-hmm. I had do you remember the PV Renown?
Of course I know the Renown.
I had one of those, and I actually wish I still had it because it was
a 2x12.
Huh?
It was a 2x12.
Yep. 212.
And there was a whole series of those. The Deuce.
Wait, was the Renown the one? Was the Renown the one where you could turn on both channels, both clean and distorted at the same time?
I don't remember if it did that, but I
wasn't it called the classic Renown?
No, mine was just the Renown.
I think it was the Heritage. My brother had that. It also had that built-in phaser, and it had the Paramix control.
Yeah,
you could stop the
did not
phaser
have that.
midstream.
The Renown was all knobs. It didn't have any sliders on it, but I do think it just had. It might have had a pedal that had two buttons on it. One was to switch, and one might have been.
Did it have the blue saturation knob?
I don't think so.
For the gain. That's what they called it. Saturation. It was blue.
Oh, I thought you meant they called it blue saturation.
No. It was saturation.
Yeah, it
had the blue.
Yeah, it had the blue.
The circle on it was blue.
But that thing, I mean, for switching between dirty and clean, I mean, that amp really pulled me through high school, man. It was loud as fuck too.
Look, when PVs had their place, and they're all. In fact, Steve Wariner was saying how he played a 400. I forget which model it was, but he would go into gigs and they'd be like, "Here's a 400," and he'd be like, "All right," and they would just play. When you play, you can play anything. You know what I mean? You're stuck playing something. Obviously, like the guys who like to play distortion. There was a video of some guys. He came in my feed today, and I clicked on it to watch it for a second. And 2 minutes in, I'm like, I can't ever watch this guy again. But he was like king of high gain, and he's like, and as soon as it was like Guitar Center. I'm like, what? I want Guitar Center in my bedroom now because I'm watching it on my TV. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
You know, when you're first playing guitar, those PV controls are very confusing because everything you saw was always like master, gain, volume, and then they just said pre. Didn't even say preamp. It just said pre.
Yeah.
Pre-gain, saturation. You know, what the fuck
funny.
is this?
It was good stuff, though, man. Look, those PVs, you can say what you want about them, but fucking everybody had one, and they worked, and it was great. And it wasn't a bunch of fucking dinks on the internet saying, you gotta have this pedal and this amp, you know, like.
Yeah, hell, if I
as an adult now, I'm in my 50s, and I have a collection of amplifiers. But when I was in my teens and my 20s, and probably even in my 30s, I ran 2 amps. I had 1 amp, a big amp to take out for a metal rig, and a small practice amp, and I could give a shit.
I didn't even
about
have that.
buying amps.
I had a rack. And I have PV 4x12 filled with the original Scorpions.
All right, so Johnny Kramer's asking. He says a date. Let's put that on here. How do I do that? Oh, I got to go over to here. Hold on a second, Johnny. Let me go over to here. I forgot I have this feature. Did I put it up? There we go. Johnny Kramer says, what do you think of guitar pedal, in panel with 2 ends? We always like the way Johnny spells. What do you think of the guitar pedals with valve tubes built in?
Most of the time, most of the time they're
first.
Useless. Most of the time they're useless. They're not driving enough with voltage. It's like, but the ones that do, you can get some interesting things out of it.
Johnny's
How about you, Matt? Any thoughts on it?
Dave. I don't really dig them. I mean, it's just one more thing that can go wrong or that you got to replace. You know, I mean, you know,
let me see what Al Pacino has to say.
Fuck you, Dave.
Figures.
That's what Johnny's going to say next, or he's making fun of his spelling.
So, oh no, this is actually he actually did a good job tonight. So, let me just say this, Johnny. I assume you're referring to valves when it comes to drive pedals. The problem with valves and drive pedals, in my opinion, is if you're putting it in front of a valve amp, then you're adding too much compression into the signal. But if it's going in front of a solid state amp, then I might enjoy it more. So I don't have a problem with it if it's a valve pedal going into a solid state amp. But if it's a valve going into a valve, too much compression. Now, there's a compressor pedal from Electro Harmonics called the Black Fingers. That has a tube. That's actually a really nice tube compression if you're going to play an acoustic to do a gig and you're playing, say, what we would call an antiseptic tone of like Taylor guitars. Now, I love the way Taylor guitars plays. I think their electronics are very antiseptic sounding. So to put a compressor in front of one that really does a nice job, the Black Fingers. And that's all I'll say about that.
Now, what about, you got a jazz chorus, don't you? A Roland jazz chorus?
Oh, yeah, right here.
Which one? It's not the 120 though, right?
It's the 40. The 40.
Oh, okay. Because my friend had a 120 and okay, can we agree that's a great sounding clean amp?
Yes.
I think it's the greatest. That's why I got the 40. I just didn't want to have the thing blast my house to fucking.
Well, too.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about putting a pedal in front of that?
Yeah, it takes pedals pretty good.
Yeah.
In fact, the Rat, here's a funny thing. The Rat pedal in front of the jazz chorus is the sound of Iran from Flock of Seagulls.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
It's a rat and a delay going into a jazz chorus. Gang, dang, 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 dang,
know
dang.
that.
Yeah. Dang, dang, dang. That's a very cool sound. Yeah, they take pedals actually really well. And again, if you had I don't know if you guys recall, one of the big distortion box companies that had a tube was actually Strymon before they called themselves Strymon. Now, if somebody in the chat can fucking rattle my brain, what was the name? Damage Control? I think it was called Damage Control. And they had a pedal called the Womanizer, obviously trying to get the woman sound from Clapton. They had like 5 or 6 distortion pedals, all that had a tube. And then you put that in front of a jazz chorus, it's a nice sound. So, I mean, the jazz chorus to me is the greatest clean sound there is.
I had one for a few years.
So 80s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 120. I'd like to get my hands on 120.
Jan says a rat going into an AC30 is John Schofield, and two people can relate to that tone. Jan and John Schofield, because I don't think I can tell you one song the guy's ever played. I know I've heard him because I have a couple of his records. You could name a song to me right over my head.
Yeah,
just goes. He never connected with me.
Yeah, same here. I never really got it. Just didn't.
Damage Control was founded in 2004 with the release of our line of tube-driven effect pedals. All right, giddy up. So I am correct. It was Damage Control. They later changed their name to Strymon. And when the first Strymons came out, in fact, I think it's in the one I have, when the first Strymon for the first few years came out, all the wall warts there, the what do you call that? The power supplies all said Damage Control on them. So they had them all labeled for the company before, and they didn't know they were going to change to Strymon. Yeah, the clean. Yeah, because that jazz chorus sound, Janice, that is what we call the shit. It reminds me so much of that, like 80s super clean. I know Danny Elfman from Boingo played one. It's just great.
No, they're still in production with those, right? They still make those.
Correct? The Strymons.
No,
the jazz chorus. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's actually a really popular amp because a lot of bars and whatnot buy them as backline.
Oh, okay.
So when bands come into town, they always, different backline companies always have a jazz chorus. They always have like a Fender and a Marshall type of. But yeah, I love that jazz chorus. I got that for like $300 or something like that. Somebody bought one and didn't like it. They bought it and they were like, "Yeah, I think I want to get the bigger one."
Now, does it have? I mean, it's been decades since I've played or really heard one, but is there enough compression on it that you would say it's good for country?
The jazz chorus?
Yeah. Do you need a compressor?
Yeah, you can just play. You can put a compressor in front of it. Is there
right.
Is there a compressor built in though? I think there might be.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering.
I can't remember.
Yeah, but you could just. I always like. I mean, those country things. You really want to use a compressor because
just don't use the distortion on those. It's god awful.
Oh God, it's horrendous.
Oh,
but that's again, that's knowing what the amp is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not.
By the way, which one of you guys recommended the movie Metal Lords?
I did.
Horrendous. Horrendous. If honestly, I felt like if I was in a fucking bear trap, I'd be biting my leg off. That movie. Not one likable character in the movie. And then I see that what's his name? Tom Morello was a producer on it. I'm like, well, this makes sense because he sucks, and everything he touches turns to piss. It's terrible.
Now, what was it about?
These
2 hours.
It's
about 2 hours too long.
2 hours out of my life.
Two high school kids putting a metal band together to do a talent show.
Oh, I've seen the trailers for that. Yeah.
But one of the kids, the main kid is such a dick. And he's unlikable. And then the other guy, it's like, and I don't care from folks, if you don't want to hear what I'm saying, get out of here. Because I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna ruin the movie for you. When he gets into the jacuzzi with the other girl and Rob Halford's telling him, don't be a dick and go back to your girlfriend. Like that makes him an unlikable mutt, not Halford, but this kid needs Halford in his mind to like, you know what I mean? 2 weeks ago, you couldn't get laid. Now you have two girls trying to, you know what I mean? And you can't be a genuine person. Just.
All right. Well, one hit, one miss for Dave. I got to.
Yeah. This was just, and then the father, who's the plastic surgeon, and just everything about the movie bothered me.
Who's the guy from Stranger Things?
Yeah. Oh, he's a funny actor, though. I enjoy him.
Yeah.
He's also a screaming liberal, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know him personally, so I don't know.
Well, now I don't like him.
Don't know his politics. Yeah, but no, I found it entertaining though. I liked parts of it. I mean, some of the gags in it I thought were funny. Some of the dialogue I thought was funny, but you know, I guess it's all in how you relate to
so
it.
Elroy has a question. He says he's designing a new overdrive. What type of tone circuits do you guys like? Just a high filter like a guitar?
Well, high pass filters? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know what he means, a high filter. Circuit, I mean, it depends. I mean, if it's, I think, like, to me, there's like, for overdrive pedals, there's a few pedals that I think stand out. I think the JHS Angry Charlie version 2 is an excellent high gain pedal. I think the Boiling Point and the Duelist are great mid to low. Other than that, everything else just kind of, they're all they all could compare. And some could be better, some could be worse. That's just what I know and what I like to play. I don't like to spend a lot of time on it. That's for sure. The reason I knew about Damage Control, because I ran a store, and when they first came out, we bought them. Hey now, Andrew Collins. We bought them, and we dealt with them, and I played many of those. I think there was one, you said Liquid Blues. I remember that one. Timeline, I think, was a delay pedal. But I think there was one called the Womanizer. There was one that was red. I wish I knew. Yeah. And so, yeah, Guitar Center's in trouble again. Again, that.
What for?
Because they just keep getting downgraded from Moody's because they owe so much money. But here's my thought about Guitar Center being in trouble. I don't care. I know guys on YouTube love having that conversation. And to me, it's like, Guitar Center has very little to do with my life. They're a store. If they turn into a Michael's Crafts, I guess I'm going into Michael's. No, I wouldn't go in there either. I don't go into guitar. I mean, it's unnecessary. In fact, you know what? I'm going to say this: support your local business. Go to your local guitar shops and grow them. There's a great guitar shop here in Massachusetts called South Shore Music, and it's a family-owned business, and they've always been great to me, and they're great guys. There's another place called Matt's Music that's a really great store. That's right, Matt. And yeah, and there's a bunch of great stores. That's who you want to deal with. Guitar Center's in trouble. Let them fucking burn. Who cares? I have as much interest in Guitar Center as I do Hot Topic. Burn, burn, burn.
Or the Metal Lords.
The Metal Lords was like shopping at Hot Topic. That's who I felt like I'm like, what am I doing watching this movie? Oh, I knew when that girl came out dressed as metal and they were like, oh, she has a big rack and she's wearing the bustier. It was like, no kidding. I could tell she had a huge rack in that sweater. You think you're hiding that from me? You're not.
I thought it was funny when she came out on the field and started going Tourette's on the teacher.
Fuck you.
Yeah. So you got to admit there were a few funny parts in it, man.
Yeah, there's some bits, not with the main characters. And that was my problem. Like, the main character guys were like, I don't know. I found the whole movie unlikable. So then I watched Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Which I haven't seen in a long time, but that's a great movie.
It was good. It's not Snatch.
No.
It doesn't have the pace of Snatch. It's too Guy Ritchie trying to show that he's a cool director. Like, when the guys start drinking and did you ever see the movie Mean Streets?
Yes.
Scorsese directed it.
Diane Lane?
What's that?
Is it Diane Lane?
No, Mean Streets is De Niro, Michael, what the hell's his name? Romanes. Michael Romanes, David Preval. But anyways, there's a scene where they're all drinking and there's a fight that breaks out and then more drinking. And it's drawn out for like a half hour. And I watch it and I'm like, clearly there's no movie here. There's no movie. It's an hour and 45 minutes where a half hour. I mean, it could have been a fucking 60 minutes and we're done. Because there's no movie. The same thing. It's like there's nothing there. So there was like in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels could have been an hour and a half, an hour and 20 minutes. A lot of the scenes were just dragged out. But it was very clever. Harvey Keitel, thank you, Hugh. I was blanking on his name. And it's very clever. And you could definitely see that it was the it was preceding the one that came before Snatch. That Snatch was definitely the better, more polished version of that movie. Johnny says they can't do it. Guitar Center can't be fixed. It's gone too far in the hole. Okay, so right, and I'll say this, Johnny, I won't lose an ounce of sleep over it because I don't care. Number one, I don't shop at Guitar Center. Number two, if I'm going to buy something, I'll bet it. If it's a small thing, I'll get it at Amazon or I'll call Sweetwater. And if it's something bigger, which it never will be, I wouldn't go to Guitar Center anyways. I don't know. I just don't like the store. There's nothing for me there.
So
Radio Shack lasted for 20 years in the red or something like that. They just made you hang on that one.
Well, they were a Tandy company.
Mm-hmm.
That was quite Tandy of them.
I miss Radio Shack, actually.
Yeah.
I miss buying a battery and having the guy ask me my address, my phone number. Look, I'm buying a fucking battery here. What are we doing?
The only thing I would get there was electronic components. That's about it. If you need to find the electronic component, fine. But that Optimus brand sucked ass. Realistic sucked ass.
Mm-hmm.
So Radio Shack, the only reason I would go would be to buy that Scotch Dual Lock that I used to make the pedal boards. Mm-hmm. When they closed, I found out that Staples sells it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that Sweetwater should buy it. Sweetwater's doing very successful. That Guitar Center rot. No one's going to spend that money on that.
Wait, is Sweetwater more than one store? I thought they were just in like Fort Wayne.
That's all they are. They're at Fort Wayne, and then they have the. Now, have you been to Sweetwater? I've been to Fort Wayne. I've never been to Sweetwater though.
No, I'm from Indiana, so I've been to Fort Wayne, but I think it was. I don't know how long Sweetwater's been there, but I don't remember it when I still lived there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to oversaturate themselves like Guitar Center did.
Yeah. I do know they have some pretty smoking deals on gear, though. I mean, I've seen some really good prices.
Who's that, Sweetwater?
Yeah.
Sweetwater also does a guitar setup before they send it to you. They're actually, they really are in the service industry, which is why they excelled when everybody else was, like...
They have.
I've heard some horror stories about Zounds. I don't know. I don't really never bought from them personally, but I hear people saying they buy from Zounds and things aren't working right. And I know Joe bought something from Zounds and it was shorting out. Daddy's Junkie Music Store, yeah, they were good back in the day. Again, they're gone, and I used to like LaSalle Music around the corner. Tommy, I don't know if you remember them. LaSalle was right on Boylston, next to what's the name of that pizza place? Little Stevie's, Back Bay. Yeah, Daddy's Junkie.
When I was in high school, the thing we always dug was the Music Emporium catalog. That was the big thing to order from back then.
American Music Supply back in the day. The big stores
American
around
Music
here.
Supply, I believe now is a jobber company, aren't they?
Well,
can you buy from them? Can you buy from them?
Zounds, I think, is American Music Supply.
Oh, I'm thinking of. I'm just thinking of one of the jobbers. Yeah. Remember, I don't know if you remember, like, what was the one that Coast?
Mars.
No, Coast, and then Coast turned into Command Music, and then Command Music became now Fender. But they're jobbers. They go around like. Just so you guys, if you don't know what a jobber is a guy, like, let's say you own a small store, and maybe Dane deals with jobbers. I'm sure he does. But let's say Dane's dealing in a small store, so he doesn't want to have to talk to each company rep and have to order unlimited amounts of things that's too big for his store. So he can go to a jobber, and the jobber will sell him to Dario, DR. The jobber basically is the wholesaler for that, and let smaller companies buy smaller quantity.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so we used to have to deal with a jobber all the time. So, like, if somebody came in and wanted to buy a Hohner harmonica, like, we're not Hohner. We don't deal directly with Hohner. We wouldn't know. They're a German company. We know nothing about them. I'd call the jobber at that time, which was Command Music, and Command would do all that, which is Fender. Command was even owned by Fender then, because Charlie Command was the guy who created Ovation. And when Fender bought they bought all those operations. Okay, Andrew Collins saying it's two separate companies. Yeah, I thought AMS was a jobber company at first, but I might be thinking like St. Louis Music. You ever hear of St. Louis Music?
Yep.
Those the same types of things. They're companies that handle more than one product. But the thing with St. Louis Music is I think they own the products. They own them.
They owned Ampeg.
Right, they own the products. Whereas a jobber, like if but used to be Fender that used to before Fender sold KMC, it was called Command Music Corps. Gibraltar stands. If you wanted a Gibraltar drum stand, you would have to go through. They were sold through Command Music, which was a jobber. Now I think DW handles that. They bought that portion when they ended up selling Command Music Corps.
Now KMC, that used to be an amp, wasn't it?
Who?
A KMC. They used to make an amp called KMC. It had a British
I have no idea.
Union Jack on it. Al Di Meola and Richie Sambora used to endorse it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Richie Sambora. Yeah. Scambora.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Johnny, the thing with Sweetwater is they're cool. I don't need them to call me to ask me if I'm okay with gear. I think I bought so few things. The only thing I really bought from them was a power supply for my pedal board like maybe a few years ago.
They get exclusive stuff though. I think sometimes they like deals with like Gibsons and stuff where they'll get
have great prices, great limited stuff.
No, I mean, yeah, they get a special run of certain things from these companies.
Yeah.
You remember the Adam Jones Les Paul thing?
No.
Well, they did there was
the guy from Tool?
Yeah. They did a limited run of signature Silverburst Les Paul customs, that were relict and just like his, right? And there was only, I don't know, maybe 25 or 30 of them made, I think. And and Sweetwater was either getting all of them or half of them or something like that. And they were all like pre-sold. They were all spoken for. Everybody, had a number that they got their Les Paul. And I think there was like 12 or 13 of them that were stolen off the truck at Sweetwater, and they never found them. They never got them back.
Wow.
So Gibson had to remake all those guitars for nothing and get them to those customers. And I ran into Adam at a show in Burbank, and I asked him, I said, did they ever get any of those back? And he was like, no. He goes, it was an inside job. Somebody knew exactly where they were going, because that's all that was taken off the truck were those Les Pauls.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Says Gibson self-stolen those Adam Jones Les Pauls, I think. I don't know why they'd want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you can get some pretty cool limited stuff, if you wanted to get a limited thing from like any of those companies. And years ago, I mean, there was a couple of really cool runs of Les Pauls that were done by like Dave's. There was like 3 different companies that got together to do it, because at the beginning, like 2004 and 5, that it was like, I think they were making by the 100, something like that. Yeah. So a bunch of stores got together and did it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. I also wanted to talk real briefly, and then we'll get back to it. Still music stuff here, but I had a student and we were talking about strings. Actually, we didn't talk about strings. We were playing, and I was playing some country stuff and showing him some country stuff, and he couldn't get the bends. And I said, no, it
comes with age.
He dove into the ocean. We dropped him down about 200 miles, and he couldn't get the bend.
He swam faster than his air bubbles.
So I was like, you're not getting it. And he was like, I don't know what he wasn't really ever put to that, to bend these notes that I needed him to bend to pitch.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, what are you playing? And he's like, a Strat. You look at, no, I didn't say that. He said a 10s. And I said, they're too heavy for you, man. You got to go to 9s. You got to try
stronger
9s.
hands.
Yeah, but it's like, why? Guitar players don't want to do the work. We're lazy people by nature. Get the fucking get the strings. Like if your hand doesn't naturally go or can't naturally go, you feel like you're like, because he was like on his, I'm like, you've got to change your strings. So that will be my only thing I wanted to say, because he was saying, do you think the string gauge is important? Because he was wondering if he was sacrificing tone. I said, I'm playing nines. My guitar sounds better than yours. But anyways, I'm playing nines and I'm bending the notes to pitch, and you're not bending the notes to pitch. You've either got to fucking really go and practice this shit, or you've got to fucking go to a lighter gauge. And to me, it just makes more sense, because your hand should automatically know where that, you shouldn't have to fight too much. You should have some fight.
Yeah,
there are some guitars that I play. My tellies I always set up with 9 to 46, because I like the 9 gauges on the high strings, but on the lower strings I want it a little beefier, especially if I'm going to drop D. I want some tension on it, because playing rubber bands isn't my thing. You know what I mean? I don't like when the strings feel like rubber bands. So I do like a 9 to 56, but there are people who'll tell you like
56.
Oh, you got to play the heavier strings for the tone. Billy Gibbons is playing 7s. When you guys sound as good as Billy Gibbons on his on fucking Pearly Gates, then I'll say okay. But no, you can't hear the fucking difference regardless. But whatever you feel comfortable playing is what you should play.
I agree.
I do 10s across the board.
So do I. I do 10s,
right, but I mean,
just because if I get on 9s, I feel like it's like you said, they feel like rubber bands. I feel like I'm like,
totally right. If it's too loose for you, but like Jimmy Page plays 8s.
It's more my
so
right.
I'm just showing you it's not affecting the tone.
No,
played 8s forever.
Right.
It's just what the player wants. That's my point. That's what I'm saying is important in strings. Play what you feel that you can play. I don't ever recall you have a problem in your bends every time I've heard you play, Matt. So like that, I wouldn't even know it. You could tell me you played 8s, 10s, 11s. I wouldn't know, because there's no flaw in the structure. Same with you, Krell.
Yeah,
but
I like having tension under my pick when I pick. If that's too loose and floppy, it just doesn't feel like it's a good reaction.
Andrew Collins, Stevie Ray played 11s, and he played 13s on a drop tune guitar, whichever one it was tuned, either a half step or a whole step down. But people are so hung up on the fact that he played 13s.
Yeah, on a tuned down guitar. Yeah,
on a tuned guitar, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
which is like
totally different.
I used to play in the Big Angry. I had my white Kramer tuned down to drop C, and I would play with 11s to 50, 11 to 50, 11 to 49. I would play 11s to 40, 11 to 49, or even heavier. What's the heavier one other than 49? 52 maybe, 11 to 52. And I would never. The only reason I did it was because the tension was the same. It felt the same. I felt like the way my 9s felt.
Yeah, but exactly. And the other thing I want to say about that is that with bending, it's not really your hands that's fucking you up. It's your ear. If you can't hear that you're off, then it doesn't matter.
No. He knew he was off because he was bending, but he didn't
have the strength.
He couldn't get it higher than like a shade under. And I'm like, you're gonna hit the note. He goes, I can't. He goes, I can't even get it higher than this. I'm like,
okay, well, sometimes that's got to be,
I've never seen it before.
Okay. Well, but the thing is that, there's techniques that, I mean, if you're using 3 fingers to bend that note, like you're bending with your 3rd finger and you've got the other 2 pushing behind it and you still can't get it, then you need to get some hand strength developed, because you are a wimp. Okay. And
didn't do enough of this as a teenager.
But at the same time, you're also playing strings that are too heavy for you. For what purpose? Like, is the string too heavy, or are your hands just too weak? Well, whatever it is, it's one or the other.
Well,
but either way,
if you put 13s on a guitar and tune it to standard tuning, I'm going to struggle bending that fucking note up.
Okay. No,
especially now I don't have my calluses, but
I agree. But there's got to be a certain level of development. I remember reading about Gary Moore and how he used to play an acoustic with action like this high, and that's all he had. So his hands got really fucking strong. And then when he got a good guitar, he's like, holy shit, look what I can play like lightning. So it's just a matter. It's like lifting weights, it's like it's a physical thing, and you got to develop the muscle, or it's just not going to,
I agree to a point. I also think that you don't have to work hard. And Fezla's telling the BB King, Billy Gibbons story, why Billy went to light strings. But if nines, and I agree with you, if the things feel like fucking rubber bands, you don't want it. But I think some people jump up just because they feel like that's the cool. Like, I play blues, and the blues guys play 10s or higher. To me, like, if I pick up a guitar, and this is no lie, and they have 10s on it, to me, I'm like, oh, it's just a tiny, tiny bit more tenuous than my guitar. So I'm like, are these 10s? They're like, yeah, but it wouldn't make a difference to me. I'll play it the same. It doesn't matter. In fact, what I find is anytime I pick up someone's guitar where I have 10s on them, I always like the feel of the lower strings better, which is why I almost switched over on a lot of my guitars to 9 to 46, because I do like the lower strings to have more tension. I think the 10s are the right way to feel on that. Just like if you play, like if I have this guitar here, like I can bend this low E. I mean, I can bend this thing, like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just I like a little bit more tension,
Well, Yngwie uses an 8 on top.
He uses 8s, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he plays a set of 8s, 8 to 38, which is like, again, rubber bands to me, which I don't know how he picks that fast on that. Like, he's really barely touching that string.
I know. And he uses like this thumb.
Circular picking.
Yeah. Barely touching the string. Because if I was touching that string on those 8s, I'd be like pulling rubber bands.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah.
But I've just been playing 10s since I was like,
yeah, it's just a comfort thing when you started on. Yeah,
so.
I started on 9s. I went to 10s for a little while. On tellies, I think 10s feel good. I just think that 9 to 46, to me, especially like, when I got into like a lot of this stuff where you do like these types of licks, like, that type of thing where it's, I'm doing that bend with my first finger alone. So if this was a heavier gauge, what's it, like a 17 or something on a 10 of 10s, it's just a hair fighting me. And so that's why I tend to like it. But again, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying I'm right for me. And no matter what gauge you like, I don't care if you like 12s, 13s, or 8s. It doesn't matter. The sound isn't, no one knows what gauge you're using by hearing you, only by hearing what you're doing. You know what I mean? If you're playing with 12s and you're trying to do that country bend that I did, and it sounds like someone who's never getting there, everyone in the room's going, your gauge is too heavy. But no one by the sound. You know what I mean? Like,
well, not everyone in the room. Some people are just going to say, wow, this guy sucks, man. They're not going to know anything about gauge strings.
That has a lot to do with, I always tell people that too. When you go see a band, I'm like, I used to say to my band, I'm like, when we do this cover, we got to do it note for note, follow the record. And they're like, it's and one of the guys in the band was like, I think it should have some leeway. We should be able to, what's that word? Feel the room. You know what I mean? And I'm like, listen, when you don't play it like the record, people don't know why you don't sound good. They just know it doesn't sound like the record and they think you suck. When they hear it sound like the record, they're like, these guys are great. Meanwhile, we're just playing the record.
Yeah.
We're just playing what they did. It might be more difficult to do what the other guys are saying to do, but it doesn't get you're not going to get the response that you think you're going to get. Now, if you're a jazz band, you want to sit there. Yes, you can grow and do this stuff. Charlie S. Joe said, mind your business. His private life is no. I think he got out of work late. I was just kidding, Charlie. I think he did message me, but he just said, I won't be able to make it. I'm just getting out of work now and whatnot. But anyways, that's my point about strings. And the same point almost about pedals. Like, if everyone's out there going, oh my God, the Bad Monkey, did you hear what Josh Scott did? Did you hear what he did? I'd be like, more like, who is buying the guy his wig? I'm more interested in what he's using for a wig than he is for a pedal. It's right. And Josh's going to get all mad at me and go, listen, the money I paid, it's a system, not a wig.
Yeah.
Hey, Dwight Bailey, welcome. So anyway, that's a great bit, by the way. Do you remember the Phil Hendry show? Did you ever listen to that, Matt, in L.A.?
No.
The Phil Hendry show? No. The Phil Hendry show was a radio show where the guy would have guests call the show and come up with the most absurd things going on. And then the people would call up and start screaming at the guest. But the guest was actually Phil Hendry putting on a voice as he's talking into the telephones. So, and he used to do this one where this guy was suing somebody for saying he had a nice wig. And he's like, because he called you out for having a wig. He goes, no, because I paid 10 grand. This is a hair system. It's one of my favorite bits. But anyways, yeah. So whatever pedal you want to use, like if you found an Amazon base, listen, you got a gig tomorrow. Amazon Basics sells a Tube Screamer clone for $20, or you could get a Behringer Tube Screamer clone for $20. Nobody in that fucking audience, if you can play worth a shit, absolutely. KFI 640 1-800-6. What is it? 8. I used to know 641-8686. The best. It's the best, Hugh. The absolute best. Yeah. Henry was my all-time favorite. Fucking Ted. I'm Ted Bell. Ted Bell, Steve Buzzell. I loved every character. Margaret Gray. Anyways, but you could take that pedal, go do a gig, and if you can play worth a shit, nobody in the audience is going to know. They're going to say, now, some guitar players are going to be like, oh, that's a cool sounding Tube Screamer. And some people might say, this guy's got great sound. One thing they're not going to do is they're not going to be like, oh, that's the pedal you're using? That thing stinks. Because everything can work. Mm-hmm. There used to be a guy, and I hate saying this because I don't know if he watches my show or not, but he was a friend of mine. Well, more of an acquaintance, but he's a good guy. I mean, he's a real nice guy, but he always bought super expensive pedals. And every time I went to see him, I was like, it felt like and here comes the axe to the forehead. You know, it sounds like an axe to the forehead. I'm like, what the fuck? This guy's tone is the worst. And then he'd be like, Dave, check out what I'm using. And I'm like, I gotta fucking now see what's the problem here. And it was like Prince of Tone or some like boutique-y $300 fucking drive pedal that I would never have bought. I'm like, and it's probably a good pedal. He doesn't know how to set it up. It always sounds like you can dial it in, but it always sounds like shit. My point is, you can dial anything, and you don't have to go spend $300. Mm-hmm. You know, like and even Josh Scott's making fun of a lot of people in that video when he's like, "This is the dentist tone." When he talked about the Zen Drive, because the Zen Drive, everyone's like, "Oh, it's the greatest drive. It's the greatest," and it was super expensive, so only people that bought it were buying PRSs with dentists and doctors. And then the bottom line is he's got a $50 pedal here that sounds just like it. Well, there's more than, I mean, every pedal sounds like. I mean, Behringer, was it Behringer? Somebody made a knock. More. They made a knock of the Zen Drive. I mean, and for like $50. So, yeah, exactly.
I remember like 13 years ago, there used to be this guy's channel. He had a few videos. He had a Bogner Uberschall, right? And he just talked about, this is my Uberschall, right? And he had a rock axe guitar. The most god-awful friggin' tone out of it. It made its rounds around the internet. It's like...
Yeah, Squire says tools are tools. That's right. And if you had to get a porch built on your house, you want to build a patio off the side of your deck. Some guy comes over and does a fucking great job. Are you inspecting what fucking skill saw he used? No, you just go and look at it. The job is done. Well, when you go hear a band play, like I said, I went to go see, I bought that shitty fucking XXL pedal because I saw this guy playing a Pro Reverb plugged in as his drive, and the sound was fantastic. And I'm like, I didn't know those sound good. I knew a kid that was selling one, so I bought it. Pennies. And now it sits in my closet only because I have a pedal problem. There's no other reason. When somebody offers to sell me a pedal and it's a decent price, whether I need it or not, I'll buy it. I'll sit on it. I don't care. What the hell? It's just going to go in my closet. The closet of shame. I'm looking at that closet and I'm like, honestly. Like, I showed you guys last week that Rebel Effects, or 2 weeks ago, the Rebel Effects the Stonehead fuzz. That fuzz is a great fucking fuzz. I have absolutely no need for it. Mm-hmm. It's not going on my board anytime ever.
Why don't anyways, you do a mass cleaning of your closet then, Dave?
Well, I thought about selling stuff, but then I'm like, nah, I don't want to let it go because maybe I'll swap that out with this. Because sometimes I swap pedals out. Now my board, it's real easy because they all have the dual lock. I just put the new one in, put the power in, and now I have a whole new. If I'm sick of a pedal, because I get sick, you know. I will say for a while I was using the AC booster as a drive because it's really like a tube screamer type of circuit with a better bass and treble, almost what the Bad Monkey is. I'm sure it sounds the fucking same. But the thing I noticed is when you pull the gain back and you put the volume up, it becomes this real like treble boost that's nice. So when I want to play clean, it adds that sound back in that I like that. So that's what I use it for. And so it's like a drive on my board. People looking at, oh, you have that drive? I'm like, that's actually a clean. It actually makes my sound more clean than when I play it. So
something you said earlier kind of triggered a thought. You were talking about how, you know, when you're playing a song and you play it just like the album, people are, yeah, that was great. And if you don't, they're like, think you suck.
Right.
Have you've had to experience this? Like I've had gigs where you know, and you put yourself under your own microscope, but you're like, fuck, I made mistakes. I flubbed this note here. That run was off. And people are like, wow, you guys were awesome and everything. And then when you do a show where you're like, I fucking killed it tonight, man. Everything was flowing. I was right on. Nobody says shit.
No. Yeah, that's true.
And you're like,
when you're feeling it, nobody else is.
I know. And you're like, I mean, what is that phenomenon about? I mean, you just, you know, why do these people hear, you know, when you're making mistakes and shit and fucking up, they think it's like, is everyone just tone deaf or what the fuck? You know,
I've had some bizarre things. I've had a guy come up to me after we played like 4 songs in a row where I'll say it. I was on fire that night, just nailing like Stone in Love, all these songs. This guy comes up to me and goes, I don't know if you know this, but you're playing those solos note for note. You don't know if I know. You don't know if I know. I'm fucking sweating my balls off every time the section comes to know whether I have to remember what the hell part comes up. Do I know? I was like, what do you think? This is an accident?
I learned it.
I stumbled into it by dumb luck. Yeah.
No. When I decide to learn, I decide not to learn it note by note. So,
Matt, you don't know this story, and I've told it before on the channel. I'm going to tell it again. I was playing for this band where we were like, it was a jam band. So we would do an open jam. We would play the first 15, 20 minutes, and then people would come up and we'd play with different players. And it was like a great big open blues jam. So at the end, the day of the gig, the guy calls me and says, listen, we want to add a song for the closeout tonight. We're going to do Purple Rain. Mm-hmm. I said, all right, I'll listen to it on the car. I mean, I fucking know the chords. I know off the top of my head. The solo, I'll just have to listen to it when I'm in the car. So I listened to the song on my way to the gig. And I'm like, all right, I think I got to listen 2 or 3 times. And then I was like, whatever. It's not that tough of a solo. So I'm like, whatever. And it's a blues jam, so I have place to move. So now we're doing the song, and it gets to the solo, and I'm playing it, and I'm telling you, man, you know when you feel like I'm killing this. Mm-hmm. I am fucking nailing it. In fact, I'm like, I cannot believe this song is that clear in my head because I never listened to it. And I just listened to it a few times here. And then I'm sitting there, and as I'm playing it, I'm like, why isn't she singing, oh, and then I'm like, oh my God, I just played the solo faithfully. So, and meanwhile, this is while I'm still playing. I'm like, I just fucking completely played faithfully. I fucking like embarrassed my face. I can feel my face red. I look up and people are going fucking bananas. It's the last second of the song. I finish and everyone's running up. Man, that was unbelievable. That was great. I go, yeah, it was fucking faithfully. I played the wrong solo. Nobody noticed. They don't fucking notice anything. But if I wanted to play the right solo and missed one note doing it, they'd be like, oh, you missed it. You know what I mean? Mm. Yeah, but that was unbelievable. That's when I realized that Faithfully and Purple Rain are the same song. And if you look it up on Wikipedia, they say that when he wrote Purple Rain, he ended up calling Jonathan Cain and said, listen, do you mind if I basically stole the song? And he was like, I could care less. It's a common progression.
Mm-hmm. there's some guys, you can look it up on YouTube, and there's like 3 of them. One's on keyboard, one's on guitar, one's on something else. And they're like, we're going to show you how all songs are the same chords, you know?
Right.
And they start playing like, what is it? Don't Stop Believing, or a Journey song.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And
Army of Awesome. Was it, well, what was it called?
You know who used to do
Axis
that
of
was
Awesome.
Steel Panther. When Steel Panther was Metal Shop, that was one of their things that, and they would play a song, and then they would start singing every fucking metal anthem that had the exact same chords.
Yeah, but these guys,
like, wait a second,
they just go through all these hit songs
Axis
from like
of Awesome. Yeah, that's
U2, Journey, all these ones, and nothing changes but the lyrics,
right?
And the lyrics.
Well, that's what country music's turned out to be now. Everything's like a 1-5-6-4. It's like, oh, bro, what do they call it? Bro country.
Oh, okay.
You're listening to all the favorites on Bro Country.
I don't really follow him that much anymore, but Steve Terraberry did the thing on writing a hit country song, and he nailed it. It's like, well, you got to put this here, you got to put this here, then hold the chord and sing the chorus, and he went through it, and it's hilarious.
Do you remember, Dave? There was this guy, Victor Borga, I think was his name.
Oh yeah,
the piano player.
Yeah, and he would sit there and start playing this piece, and you would recognize it, some classical piece, and some guy would come over and turn the sheet music the right way, and then he started playing it different, and it was some other classical piece, and they both made perfect sense, but you totally like.
Yeah, he was funny as hell.
Yeah, it was so cool.
But I saw a band medley every set with no endings.
Modern pop country is rap.
That's too bad. That's too bad. Ricky Compton, welcome. If I haven't said it, T-Boys, welcome. Yeah, I mean it's fucking crazy. Music, for all intents and purposes, it's fucking dead. It really needs a lifeline. Because in that movie, Metal Lords, even in the movie, all the metal that was anything worth a shit that they played was all classic 80s metal. And then when the band was playing the other band, I forget what that, Molly, whatever, something. Molly Coddle. When they were playing, it was like the silliest sounding thing. But it's just that music, I mean, God, in the 80s and 90s, music was fucking, even the 70s was fucking great. And now it's just like, it's so tired. It's so celebrity based. It's all about the celebrity, not about the song.
Well, it's about, not challenging the listener's ears at all anymore. It's just this background music just to get them going.
And the Professor of Rock. You guys watch the Professor of Rock at all?
Unfortunately, yeah.
This guy's the James Lipton of douchebags. He is just sucking the balls of every fucking musician saying, oh, this was like the biggest. So he's like talking about a song being like one of the biggest fucking masterpieces of all time. And it turns out they're talking about Let It Ride. I'm like, it's a great song, but can you cut the shit about it being the fucking most, like he's building it up like, oh, you aren't going to believe it. Or
no, it's Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, I think it was. But
no, I'm telling you, I watched it today. It was Let It Ride.
Oh, he did that one now too?
Oh my, yeah.
Ain't Seen Nothing Yet not too long ago.
Well, because he's got, what's his name? He's doing the FaceTime with what's his face?
Bachman.
Randy Bachman. So he's like, fuck it. We may as well bang out 8 songs that way I can milk out it for all my shows.
Yeah, you remember that time he was talking about Journey? This song should have been a hit, and he's talking about Stone in Love.
Stone in Love. It's like, it was a fucking huge hit. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
But he's like, he talked to, what's his name from Foreigner there, Lou Graham, about Waiting for a Girl Like You. And how awful it was that it didn't go to number one. Oh, it should have went to number one. But Let's Get Physical was number one. How did you feel when that song never made it to number one? I'm like, gives a fuck. The thing never made it to number one. It probably bought his house, a few cars. You think he gives 2 fucks that the thing went to number one? He's talking about album sales. That's what made him money. Not I was number one in the charts. Casey Kasem get to say my name. This fucking guy, I was like, What a fucking petty thing. If I had a song that was on the fucking radio and the album goes platinum, and someone said to me, but it didn't go number one, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get Physicals number one. Does that tell you about the fucking American audience? They're fucking shitheads. They're fucking imbeciles.
Yeah.
People bought more albums of Thriller than they did Off the Wall. That should tell you right there that the people are fucking morons. There is no way Thriller is a better album than Off the Wall. Off the Wall itself is just a fucking perfect record. Thriller, there's some garbage on it. But Thriller, The Warning is a great current rock band in every sense. I don't know The Warning. I know Warning, the album by
Queensryche.
Yeah, exactly, which is a great record.
Great
record. But in general, I just think that music's dead. And I'm not saying, but when I say music's dead, in no way do I mean that The Warning isn't a great band. They could be. They could be the fucking greatest band of all time. That doesn't mean music isn't dead. They're not getting the fucking the spotlight that they deserve because music industry is now all about celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the artist. And it's like, guys like Sting, if Sting was starting today, you would never hear it. You would have never known his fucking name. He makes music that's actually real music. And people would be like, oh, yeah, that's nothing. Nobody wants that. But he was lucky to have a career when he did. All these guys were lucky to have a career when they did. It doesn't. The artists who are out there that are good either have come from a background where they've developed their audience when they had a chance to be in the limelight. I mean, even Joe Walsh, he's saying, Joe Walsh, I mean, I always thought, but seriously, folks, that fucking album, Life's Been Good was the huge hit on that album. It's the worst song on the album. That album's fucking phenomenal. That album, in my opinion, should be as big as fucking Hotel California. Yeah, I can't blame it on auto, because auto-tune is such a small percentage. Most of the studio people are using Melodyne to tune records and everything else. And they tune everybody. They're not just tuning the shitbags. But the songs suck. It's 3-chord songs with 7 guys writing it, 7 producers producing it. I don't even know how that happens. Hey, give me a coffee. I'll put you as a producer on the record while I sit here and do the fucking work. It doesn't make any sense. And it's become such a machine of bullshit. It's such a corporate machine now. It sucks. I couldn't tell you, like somebody who told me about, hey Dave, did you watch the Grammys? My response is, what?
Why?
The fuck are you talking about? And then I was like, name an artist who won. Never heard of him. Don't care. Could give a shit. Mm-hmm. Somebody said like, oh, Sam Smith wore a devil costume a couple of weeks earlier and did this song. Sam Smith, the guy who got sued for fucking stealing Tom Petty's song. What do I care? What do I give a shit? He sucks. Jazz Kid at Work dissing classical. I told him, but Sting has his biggest influence is Bach. Well, I mean, a lot of the jazz guys started off in classical. I know Chick Corea started off there, but yeah, I mean, I'm not saying a certain style of music sucks. I'm saying when the industry that is now focused on celebrity. When you guys remember when this girl Kesha came out?
I remember the name.
I'm like, you know what? I get it. You could just sign any young vapid cunt.
Yeah.
And fucking have her sing, and we'll fucking tune it. We'll make a song out of it.
Right there.
But as long as she's a vapid cunt, we'll make her successful.
Yeah.
And folks, I'm copywriting that phrase or trademarking it. So any t-shirts I see out there that says she's a vapid cunt, I want
she's
credit.
A VC.
A VC. Are you VC?
Viacon? No, what
was that movie? Casualties of War?
Yeah.
Are you VC? Him, I don't know. Are you VC? No, but seriously, like Gwen Stefani, like when she's an artist still, does she put out songs or is she just married to that fucking country guy?
Country guy. I thought she was married to Gavin Rossdale.
They're divorced now.
They're divorced. She's with the guy from The Voice.
Shelton, Blake Shelton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dom Hall saying, will we ever see Rush, AC/DC, the Who Stone? If you think about Rush for a moment. Think about a Farewell to Kings, or I think Hemispheres I like better. Which one starts with Cygnus? Hemispheres?
Well, yeah, Hemispheres.
Farewell to King ends with it, right? So Hemispheres I like better.
Mm-hmm.
I like that album better. But the album Blooms is a fucking story being told in the music. When you listen to a song by Yes, like, could you imagine if Yes, after they recorded Close to the Edge, the producer was like, yeah, don't bore us, get to the chorus. Chorus. Mm-hmm. We're 12 minutes in, we haven't hit the chorus yet. Do you mind? We're feeling the waters here. Hold on, let me see. I have a bad monkey and I run in front of a Yamaha. There you go. I get credit for that.
Well, remember, I know you didn't like the movie, but in Bohemian Rhapsody, when Mike Myers, as the record executive, was sitting there telling him how the song Bohemian Rhapsody was, now what is this shit? You can't do this. It's fucking long. Right. It's what is Bismillah? All this. It's like these people.
Well,
they don't fucking.
Well, Frank Zappa said it best when he said the industry was better run by people who didn't know anything about the music, that sat back and smoked cigars and said, well, fuck it, we'll give it a chance, throw it out there.
Mm-hmm.
He said, now it's everybody who thinks they know something. What's the big hot thing? And it just sucks. I said, we're not. Are we ever going to find bands? I mean, like, look at what's that band that Steve Vai played that song with that I hate?
Polyphia.
Polyphia sounds like video game music. It's very gaga, 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 gaga. Oh, look at me, technique, without a song, without a melody. Okay, it's technique. And then, of course, the basis of the song is just A minor to F. So it's not like it's this fucking brilliant masterpiece. It's like they're just playing TikTok stuff over 2 chords. That is like what progressive music is today. It's the most simple, dumbed down thing. And then you go listen to like fucking, again, Farewell to Kings, Hemispheres.
Yes.
Fragile or Close to the Edge.
Kansas, Left Overture.
Kansas Song for America album. What's the album by Gentle Giant where the hands are signing each other or tattooing each other? That's a great fucking record. Any of these prog rock records back in the day were fucking fantastic. I mean, there was even some in the new wave of music, bands like Ultravox, and they had some stuff with what was the band you liked, Krell?
Talk
Talk. There's a development of like sometimes there's a song, it's just an instrumental and it kind of goes nowhere, but your fucking mind is like all over the place thinking during it. It's like one of those, it's a beautiful song.
Mm-hmm.
That shit's gone. Now it's like, how can I turn it into 3 minutes and put it in a TikTok? I'll tell you, that's people say TikTok's bad, but I'll tell you what, when I give lessons and I play an old song and they're like, oh, teach me that. I love that song. I'm like, how do you know this? It was a TikTok.
What?
Yeah, they use all kinds of like classic rock songs.
Well, that's how
Jethro Tull, another great one.
Dreams got a resurgence for Fleetwood Mac from a TikTok video.
Another Jethro Tull, another great one. The Thick as a Brick album.
Mm-hmm.
Free, Bad Company, Deep Purple, Sabbath. Free is funny because Free is a band that people love to throw in the mix. And I love Free, but I don't know anybody that knows Free.
I don't either. I know.
I know the stuff because I went back because when Gary Moore came out and did Wishing Well, I went out and bought the records. I'm like, I got to find out who this band, what they were, and they're good. But I always notice people throw Free around, and the radio's stuck on playing All Right Now for the last 50, 60 years or however long it's been out. You never hear like what's that song? You never hear Wishing Well, but they had so many other. Fire and Water's a great tune. Thank you, Ricky. Yeah, they were great. Great band. And it's Paul Rogers, a young Paul Rogers with a strong voice.
Mm-hmm.
Fire and Water's excellent. Mr. Big, that was another song they had that was great, which the band named themselves after because of that song. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's that staccato. Everything sounds like I'm in Clockwork. Yeah, Deep Purple, I think is overrated. I like Rainbow better. Deep Purple or Rainbow, gentlemen?
I'd say Rainbow as well.
Yeah, I lean towards Rainbow. Though there was some good.
Although I got to say, Perfect Strangers.
Oh, you guys love that record.
I do love that record.
Guys in the chat.
I don't know if I like it.
Rainbow or Deep Purple. And it doesn't matter which Rainbow, whatever one is your favorite, because Deep Purple can be obviously with Ian Gillan and with Coverdale and Glenn Hughes, or Rainbow can be, Dio, Joe Lynn Turner, or Graham Bonnet. Or what's the other guys who did the last one? Robbie Ramiro. He's fucking great. I like his voice the best. Who Do We Think We Are is my favorite Deep Purple album. And that is by far his best performance. Woman from Tokyo, Smooth Dancer. What's the song that goes... not Smooth Dancer. What's the other one? Oh, Smooth Dancer one that goes, Black Queen, don't mean, because you're a smooth dance. Oh, Super Trooper. Super Trooper is fantastic.
Well, here's something too, Dave, is that, you're talking about how, the music business is dead. One of the big problems is there's no fucking record stores anymore. There's a handful. You can't go anywhere and buy fucking music anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to Best Buy, you used to be able to go there and get new releases and shit. Now they've got a tiny little section of like nothing hardly. And I mean,
I remember 1980, late 83, could have been early 84. I go into a place called Good Vibrations. Oh, Rat Bat Blues, another great one. And I see the cover for Queensryche, the EP.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I got to get it. Look at this thing. This has got to be a metal band. It was great. And then the Warning came out like a few weeks later after I bought the EP. And I'm like, and I love the
thing in my day was Sounds Abound in Woonsocket. It was called Sounds Abound. And there was another one, Music and, in Lincoln Mall, but it was called something else before that. Something like the Music Machine or something.
So now if you want a CD, you've got to buy it off the band's website, or you've got to find it on eBay. You know what I mean? There's very, very...
Yeah, Tower. Tower was great. It was a great tower. I liked the tower that was on Sunset, but I thought the better one was... there was a great one in the Marina. Marina Del Rey had a great Tower Records.
Yeah, I used to go to that one. I used to go there and get a lot of
the early days of Strawberries was good. And Strawberries just went downhill.
Yeah, I mean, but in general, the point is I mean, like, you've been to, what's that place in Hollywood? Aaron's Music?
Well, there's Amoeba.
Aaron's is around the corner. It's up smaller. Amoeba Music was pretty decent.
Yeah, no, they've usually got a good selection because they take in a lot of used stuff and they also get new stuff. So yeah, whenever I go back to LA, I've always got to go by there and I'll load up on stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like, but music is it's just hard to even find like music.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of the cool thing about us having this conversation, because we talk about topics about bands and whatnot. And I'll tell you, I did what was the Wishbone Ash? You guys ever listen to Wishbone Ash?
Not really, no.
In England, they're all up Wishbone Ash. It's like, that's the band. So I remember when I did the listening, I did an honest listening of it. I hated it.
Yeah.
People like, they got all mad.
I don't dig it either.
They got all mad.
If you ever want to see them, they play up at the Bull Run Shirley all the time.
Yeah, I wouldn't see them. I couldn't stand what I was listening to when I played it. It was just not for me.
I
didn't think it was interesting.
It was the unison vocals too. That's so dated. The unison vocals where
it wasn't happening.
Like two singers.
It was a great band for a while. You know, it was a great band for a while. Was Poco?
Yes and no.
Did you guys ever like Poco?
Yeah, a couple songs.
When they were rocking, there's a Good Feeling to Know, the opening cut on A Good Feeling to Know, that album.
I remember the name, and I know if you name some songs, I'll go, I remember that song.
You would know In the Heart of the Night when they became a mellow band in 78. In the Heart of the Night. Or Crazy Love. Ooh, Crazy Love. It was a big hit. But earlier, they had a song called In Settling Down, the opening track on A Good Feeling to Know. To me, I wish I could go direct a movie that was set in the 1970s, because the opening track of that film, I'd be playing In Settling Down. It's just so quintessential 70s sounding to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rusty Young was awesome. Rusty Young was great. But yeah, hold on. Matt, you remember this I'll just play it a little lick and you'll be like, oh yeah, because we used to play it. We had a request for it last Saturday, but we didn't play it. But we used to play it every Saturday. Tonight I'm gonna bring just you. It happens all the time. This crazy love of mine wraps around my refusing to unwind.
Yeah.
That was one of those songs. That's one of those songs where if someone tried to name it, they would call it "It Happens All the Time" because they know that better.
And then they also did that song Love. In the heart of the night, in the cool zone, I'm on the down the Parker train.
Don't remember that one.
And then it goes in the heart of the night. I can't remember the next chord. I can't remember that.
Well, you can tell this is one he has been playing with his duo.
we never did that one.
Yeah,
we never did it the heart. We always did. We always did that. What is it at?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Starship Trooper.
Yeah. I always love the end of that song.
Is that the name of it?
Starship Trooper. That's the end of it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the last
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't mixing it up with the movie.
Yeah.
That happens sometimes.
Oh, you've been working on the Hot? I have to give it a listen. I haven't played it in a long time, but I know it's that D to A over, like D major 9. You can call it an A over D. But in the Parker train, yeah.
Why is Rick calling you babe?
Is it Ricky talking? Yeah. Then he said Dave. He corrected it. At first I thought that said babe, like he was asking me to teach. Babe, I'm leaving. I must. And I'm like,
you, Dave.
God, how bad is Babe?
Oh,
that song. It's fucking rotten.
Whenever
I get weary and I've had enough.
That was the beginning of the downfall of Styx.
Oh,
the beginning?
Yeah.
The beginning was Lady when they started.
Oh.
Yeah.
Beginning is when that guy got in the band.
Well, the beginning is when they hired Tommy Shaw and they didn't say to Dennis DeYoung, yeah, okay, you can go.
Yeah.
That's what they should have said.
Yeah.
He had some decent songs, but honestly, Babe's not good.
No.
I'm trying to think. There was something. The best songs are the Tommy Shaw songs. Renegade's a great tune.
Yeah.
Blue Collar Man.
Blue Collar Man. And,
Blue Collar, same album too.
Miss America.
Yeah. Fooling Yourself's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Relax. Take it easy. You see the world through your cynical eyes. Rick Grimes, it'd be okay if you were. We don't care. Not that.
Not homosexual.
Not that there's anything wrong with
Not
that.
anything wrong with it. What do I care, right?
You got the same name as the sheriff on The Walking Dead. I mean,
Coral.
what could be more manly than that?
Coral.
I never seen one episode of The Walking Dead. Is that his name? Rick Grimes?
Yeah,
Yep.
that was the main character's name.
Is that what his icon is too? It looks like it's a guy out in a.
That might be.
field.
I don't know. But that show was actually, the first couple of seasons was really good. It started going downhill after a while, but it like the very first episode was just like, whoa, that was fucking nuts, you know.
Well, me being a big zombie fan and horror movie, it wasn't mainstream yet, and so that got put on. And I go, this is great, and then it became a family affair because all the girls started loving zombies because they love Daryl. Oh, Daryl's so cute. I hate that.
Yeah.
Then every movie that came out was about zombies. You know, Pride.
I'm the
Prejudice,
opposite.
and
I hate zombie. The only zombie movie I liked was Shaun of the Dead.
That's a great movie.
Well, I love that. I love the original Dawn of the Dead. The,
It's unwatchable.
the one.
Return
in
of
the
the
mall. In the mall.
Yeah, the 70s one.
That's classic.
Return of the Living Dead's classic, though. You know.
Oh,
You know what I do like? What's
yeah,
the one
the
with
one-
the,
the
what's the one
canisters?
with the with the redhead there? Mila Jovovich. What's that one called?
That's Resident Evil.
yeah.
I like that because that's
Based
fast.
on a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but things happen fast.
So you like Dawn of the Dead, the remake?
The other zombies,
I
everyone's
did,
like,
yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
it's like, we're
I
walking.
like the running zombies.
We're walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
running
same thing
zombies.
as drill. It's the same thing as Killdozer. Oh my God, there's a zombie. I'm going to briskly walk that way and get out of here.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the slow ones though, it's not the one you have to fear; it's the horde. You know?
Oh yeah, that might be the one I really like. 28 Days Later, Hugh. You're right. It's that one where everything's moving super quick.
The rage,
Oh, yeah.
the rage virus. You'll probably like the remake of Dawn of the Dead too, Dave, because those are running zombies.
No, but I don't even. It's not that I just. To me, that's not my. It's like I get it from an artistic point of view, and the guys and everyone in the cast must have fun going, I'm a zombie. Oh, it's like, but for me, this isn't a movie. This is killing 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I could say I'd rather watch a game of snooker, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Some guy sitting there setting up 4 shots in 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. Well, go back and watch if you have any interest. I mean, watch the very, very first season 1 first episode of Walking Dead, and it's really well done. It was who's that director? He did Shawshank.
Frank Darabont.
Frank Darabont.
Yeah.
Who directed it, and I think maybe even
Greg Nicotero was involved in that too.
Yeah. But yeah, it's so well done, and it's it kind of re-energized, and it's based on a comic book, because that was a comic before it was a TV show.
I've never seen one episode.
Well, like I said, go back, watch.
Yeah, no. Dom Hall saying he was like Walking Dead was great. I just never seen. It's one of those things that zombie stuff. Like I loved Shaun of the Dead.
Here's the thing, though, about like that first season and that first. It's not about. They always said, the Walking Dead aren't the zombies; they're the fucking people. And that's the thing about the show is that it's
danger is
it's about the people
zombies.
In that situation, not about the zombies.
Right.
So it's, and dealing with the whole, losing your families and, learning how to live in that world and all that shit. So it's a continuous thing, and it hits a lot of points that, you might not have thought of if
Rick Grimes says he's a fan of the Colt Python. That's why he has his character name. Well, the Colt Python is a fantastic fucking firearm.
Yeah.
Very pricey.
That's a Python? I thought it was a Desert Eagle that he had.
Now, here's the thing. Is Rick Grimes
a revolver?
your real name? Is Rick Grimes your real name?
Big ass friggin'.
Is it a revolver?
Yeah.
Is it?
Then it's a Python.
Yeah.
They didn't make a Desert Eagle that was a revolver?
No, Desert Eagle's
then that's my ignorance then. It's
an automatic. It's an automatic, semi-automatic.
I'm no gun expert.
Yeah.
So that's the question. I want to know: is Rick Grimes, is that his real name or is that just his handle?
No, he said it wasn't. He said it was. Wait, where is it?
I have this character name. Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
Okay.
And my name's not really Krellbar.
Good underrated.
Is that true?
Americans.
Are you serious?
What is your real name?
Jim.
Well, what's your last name?
I don't give that out.
Okay. I thought Krellbar.
The Desert Eagle 44.
I'll tell you.
The Desert Eagle comes in.
Okay. I thought Krellbar was your last name.
No. Elroy, the Desert Eagle comes in a 44. It also comes in a 50 cal. The original was the 50. It's a 50 cal. Yeah, I think the 44 mag also is like a 42. Really a 42. Yeah, 44 Magnum's not a. Well, what are you saying? Not a revol? Oh, it's an auto mag then.
So Krellbar is like you're like Cher or Madonna. You just have that one name.
A little story behind it. Like it's a name I came up with when I was wasted once.
Oh, okay.
Like 30-something years ago. Then I started a fantasy football. I mean, I was in a fantasy football league. I called myself Team Krellbar, and there was just Krellbar. So when YouTube came around, 2006, that was my channel name.
I dubbed the Krellbar.
Krellbar. And you know something? I made that word up out of thin air. And you know, there's a Krellbar Pictures that used to make the old westerns in the 20s.
Oh wow!
Up there, so there's no such thing as originality anymore.
Blue Saraceno plays a lot of series music.
Series?
Yeah, he was saying he probably does the TV music.
TV series?
Hmm.
Yeah, I haven't heard his name in a long time.
Yeah. He was always kind of a nerdy dude.
Yeah, you always see him when you see like stuff like Diodario uses or so-and-so plays.
I don't see him with anything, and I remember his
DiMarzio used to always plug him.
Yeah.
Blue
Used to have
Saraceno.
like, this isn't the amp I played. My dad made it. Mm-hmm.
Who said that?
Blue Saraceno or whatever the fuck his name is.
His father built his amp?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hanoi Bomb. Yeah, that's the only video on my channel still. It's that Michelangelo video clinic I went to 13 years ago. It's just this little excerpt I took with a digital camera. Hey, that's my only video, but I've got how many 100-something subscribers?
Yeah, Rick, that's the Auto Mag. It's the Auto Mag round. It's not a 44 Magnum. It's called the 44 Auto Mag, I believe.
Yeah, well,
which I believe is a
sudden impact.
Well, or is the full? Yeah, but what was that? What gun? Was it a Desert Eagle and sudden impact?
No. That's when the guy sneaks up behind him, and it was a friend of his and stuff, and that's when he says, "Well, this is the 44 Auto Mag. When used correctly, it can remove the fingerprints."
Right. Because before that, he used the 44 Mag, which was the Smith & Wesson.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, who made the auto mag? If you look up 44 auto mag, it'll tell you who made the bullet. Usually that's the first gun, but not always, because I believe when Smith & Wesson came out with the 40 cal, Glock was the first gun to come out with it.
Automag Corporation.
That was the brand.
A 44 AMP. Yeah, the Automag Corporation.
All right, so it's Automag. Yeah, so 44 Automag. And there you go. See, I knew it wasn't a complete 4. It was a 429. I also think the 44 mag, Fez, I don't think the 44 mag shoots a 44 either. There is a Krellbar mug.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just talking to Dave about that the other day.
I made it for Krell, and somehow I left it up there.
I told him, I said, I see a Krellbar mug on there. How are those selling? He goes, oh, no, that shouldn't even be up there, right?
Where's my residuals?
Hold on, let me just see something. 44 Magnum. Uh, 44 mag is, it's the same bullet diameter. It's a 429.
Yeah, could curl down about 30 cents.
If you have any of my mugs left, it's time to blow them off at 30 cents.
It was saying he was shooting 44 special ammo. Dirty Harry.
No, he was a 357 guy, wasn't he?
No, he went to a 44.
Oh, okay.
He went to the 44 after the 357. I think was up to like, what's that one? The second one there. Magnum Force.
Magnum Force, yeah. The one with Tyne Daly.
Tyne Daly's brother. Do you know who he is?
That's not a D-Day, is it?
No, he was on The Sopranos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was on The Sopranos. He was the screenwriter of Cleaver on The Sopranos.
Oh, okay. I always thought, when I first saw Tyne Daly, I said, she looks like
Tim Daly, thank you.
from Animal House. They must be related.
No, that's Bruce McGill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bruce McGill.
He's a lot older than her, I think.
Oh, yeah, well, they could have been related because they changed their names in Hollywood.
I think
look at Shirley MacLaine and Warren Beatty.
I don't think they're that different, that far apart in age, though, Dave.
Who?
Tyne Daly
Bruce McGill and Tyne Daly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, she's far apart from her brother, Tim. I think they're 10 years apart. So she's got to be like 70. Let's see. What
Bruce McGill is 72, born 1950. What year was he?
Born in 50.
Tyne Daly.
I'm going to say she's born in 49 or 50.
Yeah, so around the same age. Nope, she's 46. So
no, what? Oh, born.
She's born in 46.
I thought you meant she was 46.
Yes, Tim Daly was on.
That's an awful looking 46.
Ah, yes, Tyne Daly was in the Enforcer, not Magnum Force.
Oh, okay, my mistake.
Enforcer, good Queensryche song. And by good, I mean
Magnum Force. That was the one with Hal Holbrook, Robert Urich, Tim Matheson, and
was it Hal Holbrook or Murray Hamilton?
I'm pretty sure it was Hal Holbrook.
Which one was in Jaws?
That's Murray Hamilton. Yeah, they're kind of interchangeable with their hairstyles. But
yeah, she was Cagney and Lacey. Yeah,
that was amazing. The three bad cops, they all became stars after that. Robert Urich.
Wait, wasn't Murray Hamilton in anything with
He may have been.
Clint. This Murray Hamilton, television actor. Died in 86?
Mm-hmm. Died the year we graduated.
He was in the Amityville Horror. Have you guys been watching the Y-Files?
The Y-Files?
I have. Yep.
What's that?
Enjoying it?
Yeah, very much so. Hecklefish and...
Oh, it's great. I'm plotting over here.
What is it? The Y-Files?
It's a channel on YouTube where the guy like talks about like all kinds of like UFO stuff, but then he gets behind the real story. He tells you he lays out the story like it's all fact.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, all right, let's break it down.
Well,
and then they break down.
There's times it is fact, and then they lay out the facts too.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is what he says at the end. He goes, let's lay out what we know is real and what we can figure out. It's really good.
But is it like all supernatural UFO shit? Or what's the main subject matter of it, though?
Oh, anything and everything.
Anything. A lot of stuff with... yeah. Basically, do you ever listen to Art Bell?
No.
Art Bell, for those who don't know who he was, he had a show called Coast to Coast that I believe is still going on today with George Norrie. Is it still going on?
I have no idea. That sounds familiar, though.
So Art Bell had this show, and let's just say...
I remember the name Art Bell.
Somebody would call up and they'd be like, listen, there are aliens living in my neighbor's house. You know, and Art would take this call and the guy would go on. He's like, listen, I worked for the... And he would go on and on, all these stories, and Art Bell would just be like playing along. And these people were fucking nuts. And it happened. It was the greatest show to listen to ever. Because it's like... Phil Hendry used to do Jim Ray Hawkins. I don't know if you know, Phil Hendry used to do earth handles. When I'm prepared for when the earth all of a sudden loses its gravity, I have earth handles to hold on to. So they were selling earth handles. They were doing like a combination. Art Bell was the best. He really, and Hendry said he met him once and was like, Coast to Coast is still on. It's fucking great. Anyways, all the knucklehead stories that you hear on Coast to Coast, this guy's basically telling these stories.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was, it's the hole to nowhere. The guy has a well in his backyard, and they say they can't find anything deep enough to put some, like nothing. They can't find out how deep it is. It's too deep.
Yeah, it's Madonna.
And then the fucking army comes in and takes over his land. And this guy's doing this all through phone calls over years. And then at the end of the, and then this guy goes and breaks down the fucking story. So Cheech, check it out, man. It's on, it's called the Y-Files, but the guy's, he's funny, but he tells a lot of Art Bell's. Yeah, the Hecklefish.
And it's on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's a very good channel. I'll tell you what a great one to start one is. I enjoyed Tesla Knew What the Pyramids Were For.
Yeah, I saw that one.
That's a great one.
Right.
Because I don't know, what was the name of that tower? Wooden Cliff Tower. That was his version of the pyramids, and it's really interesting because then it goes into stuff like, it's funny. After did you see that one yet, Carl?
Yeah, that's the one where they're blaming his energy burst into the sky on the Tuskunda event or whatever it is in Russia in the early.
No. This was about the pyramids, and they were trying to come up with the origin of where the pyramids were from.
Oh, okay. I watched a different Tesla one.
Oh, and there is. Oh, yes, that's the.
That's where the theory was
explosion.
That the explosion in Russia in the early 1900s was because he unleashed the power into the atmosphere.
This one postulates that the pyramids were made before the Egyptians got there.
And then they just
I don't know if it's in YouTube
dug their way in
originals.
and stuck their mummies in there.
It's called the Y-Files, and I'm going to just put it how it's spelled.
WHY. Yep.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways, they postulate that the pyramids were built before and by a much more intelligent race of people, which they were claiming that somehow before the Ice Age, there was a civilization there that got wiped out. Is the theory.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was crazy, but then I looked it up. There's a guy at BU who's been making that theory since 1991, and still says every time they dig and every time they learn, it's pointing that he's right.
Yeah, they're finding things that were made ages and ages ago. That's like, how the fuck did they make
They're finding refined tools and refined metals from way back when it shouldn't exist.
Weren't all the Egyptian artifacts found in tombs within the pyramids, though? I mean,
yes, that's where they put them.
So they just found these things and said, "Hey, let's use this and like fucking store our shit here."
If you go back, it's interesting because this has nothing to do with the Y. Well, actually, the Y Files brought this up too, but I watched this guy from BU talk about it. If you go back 13,000 years, the pyramids line up exactly under Orion's belt. They face perfect north, like they're perfect in every way, and the Sphinx faces perfect east. And they were like, there would have been no way the Egyptians could have known that or managed to. And then you're moving, it's not just building with those rocks. Where those rocks came from, we're 500 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
So you're moving those rocks 500 miles, then building with them.
And they're huge.
But the pyramids, they show the reason why certain stones were used was because they were designed to create electricity. And that's why he says this is what Tesla knew, because the Wardenclyffe Tower is a clone, basically, of doing what the pyramids were meant to do. But it's an interesting show. And he goes through what's probably real and what's not. But he's not a dummy. Like
he's well grounded.
Yeah. And they love making fun of the government, which is fucking great. The jab. They love making fun of that. They love it's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, he gets the tin hat.
Yeah, Hecklefish will go in. Don't talk about that. We'll get shut down again.
Oh, well, the government's so easy.
They're But it's great because he's got the little fish with him, and the fish is just a wisecracking like ass about stuff. I watched the one when the fish went into the rapture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The guy's talking. There's an episode where the guy mentions he goes, and the Christians are waiting for the rapture, and he just starts going, and the man from Mars, and he does the whole rap in it. And the guy just stops and looks at this fish in a fishbowl singing it. It's fucking gold, I tell you, folks. It's really great, folks. The Y Files, I'll tell you. It's outstanding.
I always love when I discover a new channel that I haven't seen.
Oh yeah, they do. They do a lot of Area 51 stuff. Cheech, you would love it. Look up the Y Files. You're gonna love it because I love it. I love the Art Bell stuff. To me, I'm not a believer of any of it. Like, first of all, I got to tell you, I don't believe in UFOs. I believe when people see UFOs, and now that the government's slowly saying, yes, they're real. They're not. All right. Just so you know, we make spy planes, and we don't want people to know. Well, so they're going to tell you what.
They're preparing us for another global tragedy.
Exactly.
That's why they're going to create an extraterrestrial threat that we all have to friggin' kowtow and.
You're damn straight about that. It's all bullshit. First of all, there's just no way with the size of space to travel. It's just not happening. It's not happening. And it's almost like they say, like, if you could travel to the past, well, then how come we don't get time travelers? Because all time would be running at the same time, but we don't. But anyways, I don't know. I didn't hear from Dane, and Joe couldn't make it tonight. He just got out of work. But anyways, I'm not a believer of UFOs. And so when I see
especially not the one with Michael Schenker in it.
Well, what about all the military generals and all the, really?
First of all, do you remember when they released the video a couple of months ago, and they said, "Here's proof of," and they released the footage of the two pilots in the Air Force laughing and saying, "What the fuck is that?" And everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's this is the first proof of it." They showed the video to Thunderfoot. You guys watch Thunderfoot?
No.
Thunderfoot's the physicist and scientist in like Australia or England, and he starts fucking laughing, breaking down the thing, and it's like, that's a bird.
Okay. Have you watched this film called Unacknowledged?
No.
Watch it. Just, I'm not going to say anything else. Watch it, Unacknowledged.
Is it as good as Lords of Metal?
It's not a movie. Well, it's
just
no, but I will tell you, I believe in nothing. That's just me. I believe we're here. We might even be in a fuck. I'd be more believable that we're living in a simulated program than we're living with aliens visiting Earth.
I believe that bacon comes from unicorns. It's too magical to come from pigs.
Well, both of you watch that film, and we'll talk about it next week.
Unacknowledged.
What's it called?
Unacknowledged.
It's a documentary, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, because this guy on the Y-Files talks about documentaries all the time, and he'll talk about whether they were good or they were bad. But the problem is those things are all so misleading too. But I'll look into it. I'll watch it. Yeah. But I'll tell you, I don't believe that anyone's had an abduction. I don't.
Yeah, Hugh says you heard my mic. I'm obviously an alien. You remember that time his mic was fucking up? You called Wells' mic, and it sounded like it was
Well, Tommy, a praying mantis, as much as an alien as we are, our DNA came in from comets and from whatever. So obviously we have to come from somewhere because this planet was a molten mass at one point.
Unacknowledged, you can watch. It's on. Look on either. I think Amazon Prime, or it might be on Netflix. Yeah. I can't remember, but it's on one of the streaming services. Just Google it or look it up. And then there was a follow-up film to that too. But I mean, it's a pretty brings up some pretty crazy stuff, and a lot of it too is
they bring up the hole in the backyard that's so deep. No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, but I mean, a lot of these people that are coming forward are like, very reputable, like military generals, and people are retired military and stuff are saying this is shit that I've seen, and this is what's going on.
That's why you should watch the Y-Files, because he does a lot of stories where military people come forward and then afterwards does the whole, this is why they can't be taken at their word. And to that level. He goes into a lot of stuff. This guy, I don't know where he gets his information, but he comes across as very, don't you think he does his homework, Krell? Like, I don't
yeah.
Like, he's talking to some story. He's like, well, I did this. I found out where they live, who they were. There was no person born in that town at that time with that. We went through all the I'm like, this fucking guy's out of his mind.
Did they ever do the moon landing? That whole conspiracy thing?
They haven't yet.
That'd be interesting.
But the fish is constantly saying it's fake.
Yeah, well, it's always good for discussion. It's like, but every time I think I have something that disproves it, I dig deeper and I realize that.
Yes, watch the Montauk one. The Montauk one had a lot of government agent guys coming forward with the UFO stuff. Do you remember the Montauk boys, Krell?
I fell asleep while I was watching it.
While I'm watching the Montauk Boys episode, and it's like they had these boys that was working with them, and I'm like, this sounds like the biggest pedophile cover-up I've ever heard. At the end, that's what it was. Everybody, it was tied up all the people in the Philadelphia experiment. Oh, it was unfucking believable. All these
that's
people
not the Montauk boys.
Bags.
That's the Chicken Hawk boys.
Yeah, I know. Unacknowledged is very cool. USAP, unacknowledged special assets are real, and they are not overseen by anybody.
Yeah, Fezler, not only that, Bin Laden got buried out at sea without anyone even seeing his friggin' body. So it's like...
Yeah, there's a lot on there, too. There were like these conferences where all these world leaders came together and were talking about not only... the shit they've seen, but the stuff that has been covered up for so long, so, and, I look at everything as facts. I'm not like a, Oh, I hope this is true. You know?
I absolutely don't think we're alone in the universe. I'm very familiar with the Drake theory, the Drake equation, whatever you want to call it. I think there's probably a limitless amount of life out there. I just don't think they're coming. I don't think they're plowing here in a little fucking in the Jupiter too. That's all I'm saying.
No, but
what
then
if
when
they
you
take advantage of wormholes or something like that? Wormholes is still a theory.
well, there's certain things that they talk about too of how they, a lot of the, if you look at a lot of the technology that we've developed, I mean, we went from having, the television was just developed in like the 50s, and now we've got computers in our pocket that used to take up an entire basement of a building. I mean, the leap in technology has just been astounding, and I don't think we did that all on our own. They had help from somewhere.
I think it starts from the imagine. I don't think it's that far out there because we're still nowhere.
Well,
we're still nowhere. But the point
is invention of transistor that changed.
Yeah, 50 years ago, if you would have shown this to someone in the public, they would thought you were a fucking alien.
But technology is always about miniaturization. So what happened?
Made it smaller.
Yeah, it's all the same concept. Once you had that transistor, right, and you had that solid state semiconductor technology, that's when when you see a little chip or whatever. Those are all little transistors in there. So
the problem with that theory, William De Silva, is that civilizations don't last 10,000 years, or that much of ahead of us. You think we're going to last 10 more thousand years? I don't think so.
Hell no. We'd be lucky if we make it to 2100.
That and we do live into the, unfortunately, the laws of the universe, but the laws of physics. But whatever. I mean, my point is, I've seen enough stuff where I'm a doubting Thomas. So and then to me, if you said to me that maybe mankind that would have been eliminated off the earth is out there and then coming back here and checking in on us, I would find that more believable. That there was a civilization here before that was so advanced they got out, because there was some advanced stuff that probably happened.
Well, that's another.
This show's starting to turn into the DL files now.
Yeah,
I'm Hecklebar.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you think. Look, I don't care what you think. Whatever you think is fine. But if you think the jab is helping you, you're fucked. That's all I'm going to say.
Amen to that.
That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Well, just watch Unacknowledged and we'll talk about it next week.
What's funny is we talk about all this stuff. We talk about how far advanced we have, and we're fucking eating poison with oils. People are eating Twinkies, which is nothing but fucking poison. 100 years ago, nobody was dying of fucking cancer at the rate they are today. Type 2 diabetes, heart attack, and stroke. And we managed to be fucking killing ourselves with a mass genocide. Mm-hmm. But we have pocket phones, so we think we're smart.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking mental. Think about that for a sec.
Oh yeah,
we feel we're so advanced. We've got cell phones in our pockets, yet they're fucking getting jabbed 5 or 6 times so they don't get a cold.
Yeah,
they're putting more poison in their body so they don't catch a cold, and we're supposed to be smart.
You hit the nail on the head with the phone. People think they're so smart because they have that phone. They have access to the internet. That's what destroyed the whole friggin' climate in this country, is that as soon as they got online, could read a story and have easy access to a story, and you get the people that don't know how to research anything just spouting off what they see.
Bro, you crushed my fucking great bit with that. Thank you. I was on a great roll.
I think this is actually a depopulation device right here.
Absolutely.
Because how many motherfuckers I see driving their car doing this, looking at the goddamn phone behind the wheel, and it's like I just roll down my window and go, listen, Pornhub will be there when you get to your destination. Wait.
Yeah. Not only that, you carry in your pocket near your balls and it sterilizes you.
Yeah.
So there's depopulation right there.
No, honestly. No, seriously, when people sit there and say, we're so advanced, we are. I have an idiot telling me that I have to get a 5th fucking booster so I don't catch a cold. You have to put all these unknown chemicals into your body that, it's going to have a list of fucking constraints that really you don't want in your body, but you don't want to catch that cold, do you? Well, I honestly don't give a fuck.
Yeah, whatever.
I said to somebody in my gym was wearing a mask. I said, what are you wearing a mask today for? She's like, I had a cough. I said, that is doing more damage for you than anything else. I said, the whole pandemic, I never wore a mask. I'm not washing my hands on every machine. I'm fucking living my life. I never got the fucking thing. I don't care. And if I got it, I would be like, it'd be a cold because of my immune system's on fucking point because I keep it on its toes. I don't sit there and protect my immune system by constantly rubbing my hands with alcohol. I'm licking every machine in the gym. I'm going.
You're not going to go that far, man.
George Carlin.
I'm going in the toilet right now to lick the urinals. This play,
I like George Carlin on that. He says, I don't get sick at all. You know why? Because when I was a kid, I swam in raw sewage.
Yeah.
And there's some truth to that.
Absolutely. When we were kids, we were out rolling in the fucking dirt. It didn't fucking snow. It didn't matter. Your mother would have to yell at you, put a pair of gloves on. It's only 20 below zero. I don't need gloves. You know what I mean? And now it's like, you got some fucking Asian woman driving by me with a mask on. I'm like, as if you don't drive bad enough.
I can't see why. I mean,
are we still on the air? Christ, I thought they were fucking
3 fucking years.
They're going to come after us.
I still see people wearing masks. It's like, it's 3 years, man. Are you going to do it for the rest of your fucking life?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I said to a guy in the gym one time, he's fucking spraying the spray that's supposed to be on the machines, but he's spraying it all around him. I said, dude, if that fucking hits me, you should be way more concerned about that than wearing the fucking mask and catching the bug.
Well, when I had to wear my mask, I had some fun with it, but it's like clown masks. I also have one that says this mask is useless.
Well, now they just came out. They even said the N95 masks are useless. Did you see the study that just came out? They said all the masks are useless.
Yeah, they always knew that, Dave. There's no.
They didn't always know it. Yeah. Anyways, it's unbelievable the things people will do not to catch a cold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's a cold, folks. Yes, they lied about the numbers and who was getting sick. Yes. Yeah, I know you're not that bright not to understand that. And you think this.
Well, you just look at the context. You look at context. U.S. is the most civilized nation in the world, basically, right? But we somehow had the highest death rate by far over India. Are you effing kidding me? It's like, so we're not manipulating the numbers.
They got bubonic plague in India still. And yet they're fucking doing better than we are.
Yeah, exactly. But they were the only ones that when they developed the vaccine, it was more along the lines of, it wasn't this mRNA and stuff. They actually developed it like a flu vaccine would.
Yeah, you want I like this. When you got the fucking, when you actually got the cold, when you actually got it, they were like, oh, well, you're not immune to it. Natural immunity doesn't matter. Oh, really? So the world's changed in a fucking day?
And you can go to the CDC website and it says clear as day, right? It says clear as day. It says there is no proof of anything that natural immunity isn't as effective as a vaccine or vice versa, something along those lines. People always quote the CDC, but they always ignore those little things that don't agree with their story.
Yeah, but the CDC are the biggest.
Yeah, they're off their rocker
suckers
in some
anyways.
Areas, yeah.
Oh, they're out of their minds.
But it's called using their arguments against them. Oh, you want to quote the CDC? Well, guess what else the CDC says?
Yeah.
The CDC doesn't agree with everyone's argument on that side either.
Listen, I'm just going to say this. The Heart Association says that fucking Frosted Flakes is better than steak. These are the fucking imbeciles you're listening to. They say a synthetic fake egg cooked in oil, which is a chemical oil with hexane solvent and all the chemicals, is healthier than a fucking egg and butter.
Not only that, they say they're great.
I wouldn't listen to a fucking thing they'd say. These people are fucking mental.
They're great.
Well, the best one is somebody was saying, I'm not going to, these people who were all like, wear a mask and trust the science. They used to, what was this? They used to say this, trust the science or something.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm not going to take that statement from someone that believes a man can become a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
Trust the science.
Or can give birth. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about this? So I'm in a place called Market Basket the other day, and I'm this woman's like hovering over the steak. So I said, "Do you mind if I just grab that?" She goes, "That's the one you want?" I said, "Yeah, it's got all the fat on it." She goes, "You're not wrong. They tell us to stay away from fat. It's the best thing for you. I'm looking for a fattier piece." I said, "Good for you."
Well, I just met.
You're right.
Last Friday, I met a couple from England, and this woman was talking about, she loved me and my wife because we were on the same kind of wavelength. And she was like, "You know what has really helped me? Butter." She's like, I read this thing and it's all these things that are in butter. So I started eating more butter and now all my little things have gone away and I'm like feeling better. And I'm like, yeah. She goes, and I stopped eating bread. And that's what really helped too. I quit eating bread and I'm eating butter.
Yeah.
Why does she sound like Clint Eastwood?
I was going to say she sounded like Jim Gaffigan when he does the woman's voice. Was it Jim? No, not Jim Gaffigan. Was it Louis Anderson? That he does the bit where he says to his mother he wants to get a cat, and she goes, "No, they lick the butter."
They lick the butter.
He's like, "What?" Anyways, folks, please, whatever you're doing in your life, whether if you're getting on a healthy diet, I know Hugh is in there doing it, and whoever else, continue to do it. Stay healthy, and health is important. Yeah. You should, you should take care of yourself. Figure some shit out. I posted, if there's a group I have on Facebook, everyone, it's called DL's Team Carnivore or Carnivore Nation. You should join it. There's some great videos I posted. There's a great video with Dr. Anthony Chafee, if that's his name, with this other guy. It's really good. But check it out. Anything you guys want to say, gentlemen, before we go? It's 10:12.
Yeah. Watch Unacknowledged.
Unacknowledged, folks.
I'll be watching that.
Now, if these guys are flying around in the Jupiter 2 with Dr. Smith, I'll be thrilled. Because that's what I want to see. Oh, the pain, William.
Oh, the pain of it all.
The pain. Silence, you ninny. All right, everybody, I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us. I want to thank Matt for being here and Grellbob for being here. And we will see you all. Wait, do I have another video coming out this week? It's either this week or next. I can't remember.
Mac one on this morning.
The Fleetwood Mac one came out, but I'm doing a FAQ one. I got another FAQ coming. I don't know when it's coming out, though. I haven't looked yet. All right, everyone. Very good.
Okay, goodbye, Ted.